How do you pick the best Disneyland accommodations? Do you stay on site or do you go off site?
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Hey guys, welcome back. We're Maple Mickey, putting the magic back into your Disney vacation. And today we want to talk about Disneyland specific. We're talking, where do you stay? Where do you put your head down at night?
So the first thing that you want to consider is the size of Disneyland kind of as a whole, not just Disneyland parks, but the surrounding area. When Walt Disney was starting, this was kind of his fledgling start to this entertainment empire that he created. So he only had so much money to purchase land, which meant that as Disneyland succeeded, the surrounding area was bought up very quickly by other hotel chains, by other different organizations. And so around Disneyland Park itself, there is an incredible amount of variety of hotels and rental homes that are there for you to choose from. So what do you pick? What's going to be the best bang for your buck? And is it really kind of the same philosophy as Disney World that on-site is best? So first, we do have to say Disneyland Resort has 3 beautiful resort hotels. They have Pixar Place Hotel, which is being changed from Paradise Pier. It's just kind of in the middle of this refurbishment project right now. And that is the furthest away from the parks. And it is going to be all themed around Pixar, and it's very cool. If you've seen pictures online of the different fireplaces or little fire pots on the roof, I want one for our backyard. They are so great. And then there's Disneyland Hotel, which is the OG hotel. And each of those towers is themed after a different land of Disneyland, like the Adventureland Tower, the Fantasyland Tower. And that is very cool. Like your bed frame lights up with fireworks. And then there's the Grand Californian Resort and Spa. And that is, again, just this beautiful, kind of think national park kind of lobby. It's grand and majestic and it's gorgeous, and it is like truly right like back to back with California Adventure Park. And there's a specific entrance into that park just for resort guests, but these come with a very steep price tag.
Yes. And you know, when it comes to Disneyland in particular, because there are so many options, you have to ask yourself the question, am I looking for my accommodations to be an experience? Or am I spending all day in the park until the sun goes down and all I'm looking for is a bed and a pillow so I can get up the next morning and get back into the parks? I would say if you're looking for experience, perhaps consider the Disney resorts here at Disneyland.
Of course.
But if you're just looking for a pillow and a bed, there's some great options out there.
Yeah, and there are benefits that come with staying on site at a Disney resort hotel. So they do get early entry into one of the parks every day. It's gonna flip-flop between Disneyland and Disney California Adventure, but that's 30 minutes that you get with only other resort guests. So just imagine how small those crowds are going to be when it's only 3 hotels. They also get that specific gate for Disney California Adventure through the Grand Californian Hotel. And you have to be a resort guest to be able to use that, which allows you to enter the park just a little bit quicker.
VIP,
there.
velvet rope.
And then you get package delivery. So if you buy something in the park, instead of having to schlep it around, they will deliver that package to your room the following day. And you get to make those dining reservations just a little bit sooner than everybody else. So if you want to dine at Blue Bayou, and that's specifically where I want to dine, or Carthay Circle, having those extra days when not everybody who's going to be at Disneyland for those days is trying to beat each other to those dining reservations really can help. And so there are some benefits, but the question is, do they really outweigh the cost? I mean, staying at Pixar Place Hotel for 2 adults, February 5th to 7th, so value season, is going to cost $553K Canadian dollars a night. And wait for it, Disneyland Hotel goes up, but Disney's Grand Californian is going to be $933 Canadian a night. Like, I don't think I can justify $1,000 a night to get 30 minutes early in a park and to have my bags dropped off. Like, I will rent a locker for $9 and store those bags. For me, the value just isn't there for those hotels.
Especially when you're not necessarily staying, like so much of your day is not in your resort.
Yeah.
So it really, unless you're taking like big chunks of time in your resort as an experience,
Yes.
it's hard to justify the cost.
No, it's astronomical. Now, we will say, we have been seeing sneak peek pictures of the villas at the Disneyland Resort Hotel, and they are stunning. Like, the attention to detail and the whimsy of these new hotel rooms in this new tower is pretty incredible. So we had talked in a previous video about, do you maybe want to do a resort, like a staycation? And so perhaps if you just want to go for, the atmosphere, you would say, sure, we'll spend the money for these hotel rooms because we're not going to spend them on a park ticket. But otherwise, I have to say, for us, it's just too rich for my blood, especially when you look right across the Esplanade.
And that's not even an exaggeration. You can literally look like this and see significantly cheaper options.
Significant. So if we are the Esplanade of Disneyland and Disney California Adventure, my side is going to be downtown Disney, and that is where all of the Disneyland Resort hotels are. Lucas's side is this beautiful little strip called South Harbor Boulevard. And over on South Harbor Boulevard, there are incredible hotels at a fraction of the cost. Like, we are talking average about $300 Canadian a night. You can get it cheaper if you want, but just kind of
for our American
averaging
friends, that's about 220 USD.
Yes, and some of those even come with breakfast.
Yeah.
So you're not just saving that much money per night, you're also saving it in that morning, not shelling out $15-20 a person on breakfast.
And that is something to consider with the Disney resorts themselves. Everything else is a price.
Yeah.
Breakfast, lunch, there's no all-inclusive, you're adding on top any kind of meals that you do on site.
And like we had said, because you are truly on the other side of the Esplanade, some of those South Harbor Boulevard hotels are actually closer walking distance to the park gates than the Disneyland Resort hotels are themselves.
Now, can I ask you?
Yes.
If you cross the Esplanade and you go to the resorts, are there things at the resort hotels that you can access without having to stay there in terms of sit-down dining and those things where you don't have to stay, but you could still experience some of what they have to offer?
Yeah. So the only thing that's going to be really close to you in those resort hotels are the pool decks. Otherwise, all of the dining is available to anybody who wants to come in. You have to remember that Disney is always trying to entice you to stay with them. So as much as they can give you little sneak peeks of the feel of their hotel, they're going to do it. So feel free to go and roam around the lobby and get a feel, but also to sit down and have a character dining meal at any of those hotels.
Yeah.
So we did talk about those South Harbor Boulevard hotels, and that is my favorite spot to stay at Disneyland, is any of those South Harbor Boulevard hotels. But two other locations we have stayed on is Catella Ave or the West Ball Road hotels. And so Disneyland is kind of like a big rectangle with Disneyland on one side and Disney California on the other, with that Esplanade right in the middle. Catella is on the California Adventure side and West Ball Road is on the Disneyland side. And both of those, again, have even cheaper hotels. We are talking average 200 Canadian dollars, which is like mind-bogglingly cheaper than those Disneyland Resort hotels.
Now, the only expense to those ones is some leg power. You are going to have to walk a little bit further to get to the park gates.
You are going to have to walk like significantly farther to get to those park gates.
So you have to consider end of night, you've walked about 35,000 steps in the park, and now you have what, about a half hour?
15 to
30 minute walk, depending how fast you walk.
Yeah.
So just a consideration on those ones.
Yeah, I know Disney has, or I guess the city of Anaheim has kind of thought of some of that. So there is the Anaheim Resort transportation that you can take, and you can do a one-way fare, or you can do kind of a length of stay type pass. And so if you were going to do a 5-day pass, it'd be $25 per adult and $5.50 for kids under 13. So there are options. Now that is a fixed schedule, so you do have to watch that. But an Uber to one of those Catella or Westball Road hotels isn't going to be that bad. It's $5 or $10 at the end of your night. So if you do find that your legs are just burning by the end of the day, you don't have to walk, and you're still not going to get anywhere close to the cost of either a South Harbor Boulevard hotel or a Disneyland Resort hotel.
So if you're doing the math, we're going Grand California, $1,000 Canadian, and we're doing 200 here plus $25 per person, 5 something for kids.
Yeah.
That's a big savings right there.
You're not touching it. Now there are some little tricks. So if you are staying at one of those further distance resorts or hotels, you can walk to the parking structure of Disneyland's parking structure, either the Toy Story or the Mickey and Friends parking structure, and take their shuttles. And so you don't have to walk the whole way. You just need to walk to a parking structure. So it is a great way to save some money if you're okay to walk.
Now you had mentioned that around Disneyland California Adventure, there are quite a few residential areas.
Yes.
So what are the options? Kind of what is the saturation of Vrbo, Airbnb? Are there options for staying off-site but in a home, maybe as a bigger group, as a family? What does that look like?
There are a ton of Vrbos, Airbnbs available for you in Anaheim. Now, it's getting harder to find some that are really, really close to the park, but if you're okay to drive, there's an abundance of homes all around. And those are gonna run you about $300 to $600 a night to stay in one of those homes. But again, if you are a bigger family, or you're going with more than 4 people, which is typically the occupancy rate in a hotel, that could save you a lot of money over getting a second hotel room. And so it is something worth looking into. Again, if you're staying at one of the Vrbos or Airbnbs that are close to the parks, you need to factor in walking.
Yep.
But if you're staying further, you're going to need to factor in renting a car and parking fees.
So what are the parking fees at Disneyland if you're going to park in their structure?
Yeah. So it's going to cost $25 a day to park in one of those 2 parking structures, either the Toy Story or the Mickey and Friends parking structure. And then remember that you are going to need to take that shuttle from the parking structure to the park. So just factor that into when you're thinking, what time do I need to leave in the morning? Factor in your traffic to park, and then factor in your shuttle that's going to get you to the park gate.
But as we said in a previous video, we're talking about Disneyland being a destination for those that perhaps want to have Disney as a part of their vacation. And so the idea of renting a car, having the few days at Disneyland, California Adventure, but also going out to different places and having a home base around Disneyland could be a great option for you.
Yeah. And with staying at a Vrbo, you get the option of cooking some of your meals, which can be a huge cost saver in and of itself. So our personal recommendation is to stay on South Harbor Boulevard. It is gonna cost you a little bit more than staying on Catella or Westfall Road, but at the end of the night,
Oh, you're gonna be so glad.
you're gonna be so glad that you spent that extra money. And personally, we just don't think that the Disneyland Resort hotels are worth the price tag.
And if we've missed anything, let us know in the comments below. Also, where do you like to stay when you go to Disneyland? What's your go-to?
We would love it if you would take a moment to like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Whether you're going to Disneyland now or it's on the horizon, we can help you make your vacation magical.